All right, welcome, my fellow ninjas and ninjettes. Maybe some of you formerly known as posture guys and gals. I'll get into that a little bit later. Anyways, this is Justin Archer, formerly known as the posture guy. Now I guess I go by Sensei, but you can just call me Justin, whichever you prefer. And welcome to the premiere episode of the Optimize Self show / first live training for those of you who are Optimize Self Dojo members. I just thought I'd like to put this first one out for free, full access to everyone, just because I'm so excited and I want to share all this ninja goodness, Optimize Self awesomeness with everyone. So anyways, we're gonna get started in just a moment. Just want to do a little house cleaning, let you know kind of how these things are going to work. Truth be told, I'm still figuring out as I go along, so excuse my greenness. I am a newbie kind of at running these live shows, but we're gonna learn together. It's gonna be fun. So if you've never been on a live Google Hangout, this is a live broadcast. It's using something called Google Hangouts on Air, which is broadcasted via YouTube, which is probably where you're watching this from if you're watching it live or later on watching a replay of this. Now, this is live, so if I get cut off or something goes wrong, I will try to get back on, but this is live. This is not pre-recorded. I have kind of a guideline of what we're going to talk about today and questions that are going to be answered, but other than that, nothing scripted. I have no idea where this is going to go. I just look forward to answering your questions, providing you value and being of service to you and having fun while we do it. All right. Also, if you leave a comment form, your question in the comment section, just know that there's about a 30 to 60 second lag between when I say something and when something's on screen to you, depending on where you are in the world and your internet speed, to what you actually see. So it shouldn't be laggy or choppy. Just know that if I say the word, you're going to probably get it 30, 60 seconds later afterwards. So I got some questions already picked out, but if there are some questions that you'd like for me to answer live, just let me know. All right. So before we get to the Q&A, and believe you me, I am very, very excited to get to that. And I will take off this little placeholder here, and you'll be able actually to see me, because some of the answers to some of the questions that people sent in, thank you, by the way, for sending those in, involve me getting up and doing stuff. If you can hear that alarm in the background, no, there aren't bombs dropping. We're currently in Saxe, Texas. I think that's a weather alert. So again, we had some thunderstorms the other night here, and the electricity went out. Hopefully that doesn't happen during this, but just want to let you know, if so, it possibly could be due to weather, but fingers crossed that won't happen. Anyways, if you're new to the Optimize Self community, family, whatever you want to call it, basically what this is all about is just like it says on the screen. It's about rediscovering health, upgrading fitness, and optimizing wellness, all while having fun, kicking ass through lifestyle design. And I want to share with you a little bit about the Optimize Self system, how it came to be, just so as we go forward and I answer your questions, you kind of know where I'm coming from. I'll talk to you a little bit about the Optimize Self show and what you can look forward to expecting, as well as what the Optimize Self Dojo is for those of you who are watching this and aren't a part of it already. Okay, so let me switch over here to share screen with you. Give me a second. Hopefully that alarm thing stops. All right. So in just a second, you should be able to see my screen. Sorry if there's kind of a matrix effect here, where it's like windows inside of windows, but it should stop there. Awesome.
Hey there, fellow ninjas and ninjettes.
Excuse
this is
that.
Justin Archer, aka.
that was going to play my voice, which I recorded over it. I could do that and just let me let the recording of me talk. But I actually prepared a video about the system, so I'm going to try to keep this shorter and briefer so we can get to the Q&A. That's the part I'm really looking forward to. I'm sure you are too. So I'll give you a brief synopsis of this. I won't go into full screen. And at the end of this video, there will be a link. I'll make sure to include it in the show notes below as well. If you want to learn more in depth about the Optimize Self system, as well as if you care to learn more about me and my background and kind of, my experience over the past 13 years being in the, what I refer to as the making bodies better world, health, fitness, wellness combined industry. Okay. So the Optimized Self system, what it is really all about addressing symptoms, and symptoms could be chronic pain symptoms. They could be struggling, trying to lose weight. It could be building muscle. It could be with sickness, illness. It could be trying to get stronger. Whatever the symptom is, whatever it is you're trying to achieve or overcome, doing so through lifestyle design. And that is key there, lifestyle design. What I've found, again, 13 plus years experience in the health and fitness industry combined, they make wellness, is that a lot of people are trying to address their problems or correct whatever's wrong or try to achieve whatever the goal is with these single factor focus blinders on. And a lot of times it's just exercise. Sometimes it's just diet. And then occasionally people will include the two. But when I say lifestyle design, I'm talking about all the foundations of health, everything from your breathing, hydration, sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, and exercise. That's what I refer to as the 7 foundations of health, with your environment and your mindset circling those at all times, because they can always have a positive or negative influence on any of those foundations of health. And the reason they're structured kind of in this pyramid style and why breathing is at the bottom and exercise at the top is because, just like building a house, you want a sound foundation. So I always recommend, when I work with people one-on-one, is starting with optimizing their breathing, then their hydration, then their sleep, nutrition, stress, movement, then exercise, in that order, so that you get the most out of exercise. Because if you just do exercise and you haven't addressed the other 6 foundations of health, let alone your environment and breathing, it's going to be very hard to benefit from it. Either you're going to not get any results or very little short results. So the concept here is that total health is accumulative, and it's our habits, otherwise known as lifestyle, that form the current state of our health, whether that's good or bad. And the body works together as a unit. Our ankle is not living in a little bubble separate from the rest of our body. And, all the reason why you can't lose weight isn't separate than the reason that you have back pain. It's all, interrelated. It's all connected. So keep in mind that the body works together as a unit and that we have to treat it as such. Now, ideally, what we're going for here is optimization, not necessarily perfection, but try to get 80% in the 80 percentile or above of each of these foundations of health, right? Breathing, hydration, sleep. You can see on the screen what it says. Hide that. Oops. Excuse me there. Awesome. Okay, we're back. So the goal is to get as close to perfect. Obviously, we know perfection is not possible. And tell you what, perfection is not even the goal. Resilience and continual progress is. So you're shooting for perfection, right? That's your goal. That's your target to aim for. You may never achieve it, and that's all right. But a lot of people are under the, under 50%. Heck, some are under 30% in a lot of these areas of their life. And so just working towards that 80 percentile and above is going to yield the type of results that they're after, so they can achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve. Again, getting out of back pain or losing weight or having better cognitive performance at work, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Now, the common paradigm that you'll hear most people talk about is symptoms cause lifestyle degradation. Well, here at the Optimize Self family, our paradigm is lifestyle degradation causes symptoms. So as your breathing, hydration, sleep, et cetera, any of those foundations help degrade, that's why you're having the symptoms you're having, okay? Now, foundations of health are like ocean's currents. They flow in and out of one another, positively or negatively influencing each other as they do. So your body is based like the ocean, but as you can see here in the picture, different currents can flow into one another. So the quality and quantity of your sleep could positively or negatively influence the quality of your movement, which could then decipher the benefits you get out of the exercise, whatever type of exercise you're currently doing or plan to do. And we also here, we're big on testing, measuring, and tracking because we want to make the invisible visible and bring awareness to your blind spots. A lot of times when I work with people with lower back pain and I start working on breathing, they're unaware that their breathing, how they breathe, has anything to do with their back pain. And so, but once they're made aware of that and I coach them on how to properly breathe, a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times, just by working to improve their breathing and restore their natural breathing patterns, could either completely eliminate or at the very least significantly relieve their lower back pain. Okay, so that's just one example, but there's many. So can you remember, it's not the symptoms, it's the lifestyle that we're going to address. And as we address the lifestyle and each of those foundations of health that make up your lifestyle, keep in mind it's what you do the majority of the time that matters, not your best intentions. So as we address those lifestyle foundations of health, and as they improve, then the symptoms will really have no reason for being, and they will literally, dissipate or disappear on their own because they will have no reason for being as you optimize each of those foundations of health. This is basically the same thing we saw here in the horizontal, just for those of you, I guess, who like vertical bar graphs, different strokes for different folks. Now, this system and approach is simple, but it's not easy. Okay, a lot of things we're going to talk about today, it's pretty simple to understand, but it's challenging for people to do. Unfortunately, common sense is not always common doing. It's hard for people to take action consistently, and that's why I wanted to put together the show. That's why I created the Optimize Self Dojo, is to really help people with accountability and support, ongoing accountability and support, to make sure that they do the things they know they need to do to get the results they need, want, and desire. Like I said, unfortunately, common sense is not common practice, but that's what the Optimized Self system helps to change, helps address. Also, it like to simplify things, right? If you try to overhaul your whole life overnight, it's too much. It's too much change at once, and very few people, I would dare say even 0 people, would stick with everything because it's just too much change at once. So I try to put together a system that you can make little changes and build on that to make monumental positive shifts in your life. Because like Albert Einstein says, everything in life should be as simple as possible, but not simpler. Again, meaning that, it would be great if you can just exercise your way into, optimal health, fitness, and wellness. But unfortunately, you can't actually. There's been tons of studies that show it's the most inefficient way of doing so. Exercise is great. I love exercise. We'll talk about it a bit later. But if you haven't addressed those other foundations of health, you will suffer from what I call PE. And no, men, not that PE that you see the late night commercials but the other PE, premature dramatic pause. Premature exercise, which could turn from what you may be intended to be a eustress, a good stress to benefit from, into a distress, something that actually takes away rather than adds to your life. And we'll get more into that later. And here's those foundations of health one more time, but just broken up into 3 stages. The first 3 in kind of the recovery stage, the next 2, again, and these are stages, they're built on top of. So once you get to steps 2, you don't neglect or stop doing the foundations of health, trying to optimize them in stage 1. You keep doing them, and then you add to it nutrition, stress, and you upgrade yourself, and then you add the other final 2, movement, exercise, and you optimize. All right. And if you do this, this is what your progress will most likely look like. This is a famous diagram among web designers and just designers of the like, but I really liked it, and I think it applied to many of the people I work with, and I see as they make progress. Is at the beginning, it's this line, it's all wavy. There's uncertainty, and them themselves or together as a team, we're researching, we're finding patterns, we get insights, we have a concept, we apply it, and then we start to gain clarity and focus, and then we find their ideal design, their ideal if you want to say blueprint or plan for their optimized self. All right. And I think these are just some leftover slides from some presentation I did, a little smiley face, and my favorite, the internet high five. So I think that covers everything about the optimized self system. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to share with you guys. See, sorry if I look off screen here. I've got little notes. Otherwise, I'm so excited about this. I will totally go off the handle. The optimized self show. Let me stop sharing this for a second. I think I'm going to come on video. Nope. Okay, that's still on. Cool. I swear you're going to see me here in just a little bit. Shaved, showered, and everything. Let me grab some water. If you guys have some water nearby, I recommend you do the same. Seeing as how the second foundation of health is hydration. So the Optimized Self Show, this is the premiere episode. I'm going to share with you more about it kind of later on, but it's really about kind of crowdsourcing everybody included in the Optimized Self Dojo and those that write in their questions, their experience in terms of health, fitness, and wellness, and bring it all together so that we can learn from one another. In the past, I've kind of taken the role reluctantly as the quote unquote expert. And as much as that is nice to stroke the ego and everything, I much rather have discussions with people and help people come to their own conclusions rather than people say, and I hate when they say this, well, why are you doing this thing? Well, because you told me, and it's silly because then, some of the common responses, well, if I told you to jump off a cliff or, eat these rocks, would you? And of course, no. So why would you do this? You got to take personal responsibility for your health. I always tell people that it is always a good idea to listen to doctors, chiropractors, nutritionists, and other health experts. But it's always a bad idea to do what we all say without first kind of running it through your own kind of common sense filter, as well as doing your own due diligence. So this way, I thought was a great way to aggregate and curate multiple people's, both lay and expert, ideals on topics and subjects in terms of health, fitness, and wellness. So that way you can make a better informed decision, right? So it's kind of, it's co-learning together. And that's what I'm really excited about. And although I didn't get any takers for this premiere episode, if you ever want to come on the show live with me, I would absolutely love it. And we can discuss whatever it is you want to that would help you, because I'm positive that whatever questions you have, it's going to help 100, 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 other people watching in the future that find this video later, or that you personally say, hey, I was on the show, the Optimized Self Show with Justin, go check this out. And we talked about these things, and I think there were some tidbits in there that you can really benefit from. And I think, again, people get to be kind of like a fly in the wall and learn from both your and I's experiences, both in terms of successes and failures, because I totally admit there's some things that people I teach are even better at than I do. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and optimal health and fitness and wellness, it's a process, it's not an event. So there's times where I'm better at certain, more optimized in those certain foundations of health versus others. As I'm well, the same goes for you and anyone else. So that's kind of the hope of that. And finally, one more thing, and then I swear we're going to get into Q&A. I almost kind of want to skip it and go to Q&A, but I just want to make sure that you guys know everything that's going on here. All right. Is finally the Optimized Self Dojo. So if you head over to optimizedself.ninja, you're going to see this web page, and there's only one video on the entire page. And after each episode, I'm going to embed it here. And then for those of you that had answers that for whatever reason you couldn't make it live to the show, I will post a link to there, and you could view the video right here. Okay, and then eventually I'll add playlist, and this is where all the content will be curated, as well as on the youtube.com, I think it's /Optimize Self Ninja, the channel there. So if you haven't already, subscribed to that video, like the videos, one, if you like it. I guess you could dislike it if you don't like it, but like it because it'll actually help Google and YouTube with all their search algorithms, help other people who are trying to find answers to their problems. It'll help them find it easier. Okay, so it's kind of sharing and caring and spreading the word and sharing the love, that kind of thing. If you scroll down, there is a button here. You could take the Optimize Self test to help uncover what's holding you back. Again, I mentioned earlier about the system. Try to help people become more aware of, make the invisible visible, make them aware of what in their life might be holding them back from achieving whatever they want to achieve, and that's great at that. And then scrolling down below, and I won't go through each of these, but there is a lot. I think 16 different products, guides, services, tools, resources that total, I think it's $3,650 worth. And these are things that I personally use on a daily basis, and I teach to my one-on-one clients and those that pay me to keep me on as a retainer. These are the things that I share with them. And now I've actually curated it all, put it all together in a shared Google Doc and everything, put together a private Facebook group and all that. And that's when I refer to the Optimize Self Dojo, what I'm talking about. And yes, no lie, well, actually a little lie, full disclosure. I made this when I was selling it for $1. I think the price is now up to $9 or $10. So there's going to be 365 memberships for the year for 2015, and each membership is going to be $1 more than the previous. Okay, so if there's something, I always tell people, if there's information I can give you, answer your question, you know, with just things, information, content that I've put out already for free, I will definitely do so. But if I do think sincerely, as if you were my mom, dad, sister, you know, wife, whoever, because I tell people I want to be your health, fitness, and wellness kind of fiduciary. I have your best interests always in mind. If I do think that something inside the dojo is going to benefit you, is going to help you get from where you are currently to where you want to be faster, simpler, help you avoid mistakes, save time, save money, all that, I will definitely recommend you join the Optimize Self Dojo. Because even if you got the final membership for $365, that's a ton of cost. You know, there's $3,650 worth actually, and that's just for the first year. It keeps going after that, but you'll get in for only a one-time payment. So it's an amazing deal. Even at $365 right now, I think it's $9 or $10, which you can get to by clicking here. And at the bottom, there's some stuff if you want to work with me one-on-one or do a retainer and a little bit of other helpful info. So that is all that. We got through all of that. Let me stop sharing my screen and hopefully, and I got to turn off this intro thing so you can see me. Hey, how's it going, guys? I told you would see me. I gotta get some water. I'm talking a lot. Which I'm just waiting for a comment to come in if my lovely wife is watching and say, yeah, what's new? And I swear, I only had 1 cup of bulletproof coffee this morning. That's the amazing thing. I was thinking of having 2. Could you imagine that? It's insane. Okay, so I think now we have got some questions. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is literally what I live for. And this is why I'm even doing this show, is because I've done, if anybody's followed me in the past on the Posture Guy post before where I talk about something, but I really cannot wait until someone else is on the show, because I much prefer having discussions than talking at a camera. I like talking with people and then them, myself, and anyone else watching learning from it. People are surprised, as much as I talk, I much prefer to listen and then react to what someone says or is thinking and help them, you know, kind of find their way rather than just talking at people. I swear, I really don't. That's why I wish someone else was here to talk to, but first episode. Okay, so first question, and this came from so many people lately. I couldn't narrow it down to one person, so I just said, many ninjas and ninjettes ask, how do I get my friends and or family to make the necessary changes in their life that are necessary in order to optimize themselves? Now, granted, I'm paraphrasing because not everybody wrote that, but it's a question that I often get asked. Like literally, if I had a nickel for every time, I would be broadcasting this from my yacht. Okay, so a couple points here. One, you've probably heard this before when trying to get people to make a positive change, whether it's financially or in their health or whatever, is first and foremost, lead by example. Now, I know that's not really any new, oh my gosh, Justin said something amazing kind of advice. No, a lot of people have said that. And you do, but let me go a little deeper, maybe and wider, but at least a little deeper on that. Lead by example. So try to optimize yourself first and show people, oh look, you've lost this weight, or you have more energy, and these things. And maybe that's enough to get their attention and go, oh, I want now what you have, this energy, this loss of weight, these muscles, this pain relief, this better lifestyle. Okay, maybe that's enough. And for some people it is. Great. Then you stop there and you just let them take the ball. But some people, they need less information, and they need, I guess, more of a push. Actually, that's not correct. Less of a push, more of a pull. And by which I mean, ask about their why instead of telling them about the what and how you did something. So instead of saying, oh, well, I'm part of the Optimize Self Dojo and I joined this and Justin said this and we talked about this thing and I did this thing to get this result, right? Instead, try to, what's the word I'm thinking of? Try to appeal to their why, okay? And let me explain. The why, how, what concept, what's referred to as the golden circle, it was something that came up by a gentleman, Simon Sinek. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I don't think he's watching. He first did it for businesses, right? Entrepreneurs, people, leaders, things like that. But it really could be applied to a lot of areas of life, including health. So the golden circle, a lot of times people, right, when you go to a networking thing, you're talking to people, they ask, or even just meet new people go, oh, what do you do? And they mean, what do you do for a living? And, sometimes people say, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, whatever. And a lot of people do that and then they just stop, unless it's you do something really amazing, like, I don't know, I juggle tigers, and people are like, whoa, you got to tell me more about that. But if it's like, oh, I'm an accountant, no offense to accountants out there, but most people are like, oh, that's nice. Okay. And that's about where that ends. But you know what can get really excited? I know personally for me, if an accountant said, is why are they accountant? Why did they choose to go on that? And is there some unique way in which they do accounting for their customers or people that they work with or for? Okay. Because I think people are more interested in, the why someone does something even before the how or what. And even contrary, because a lot of people ask me, Justin, just what are the things I do to whatever, be healthier, be better, optimize myself? And I can put them on there, give it to them for free, or charge them thousands of dollars for it. And more times than not, they don't do jack diddly with it. But if they have a strong enough why that compels them to consistently make healthy choices and take action, it could be for free, it could be for thousands of dollars, and they will do it. So what I would think about, questions to pose to yourself and questions to maybe pose to the person that you love and care for and are trying to help is, why do you do what you do? What's the purpose? If someone says, yeah, I want to lose weight. Okay, great. Most people do. I would say that's the majority of, well, I can speak at least for America. I'm sure a lot of parts of the world, but at least America. And, it's going over, well, why? What is the weight keeping you from doing? Or are you scared if you don't? What will happen? You got to go a little deeper and find out what is that emotional why that's driving them, and once you hit on that, and you'll be able to easily tell just through body language if someone gets really emotional, kind of choked up, right? You can even see tears kind of well in their eyes, or they get very excited, their eyes get bigger, their voice gets a little louder, and they get very excited and kind of amped up about it. You'll be able to tell. And then instead of going to what they should do, what the outcome is, I would then go to, well, how do you do what you do? How are you currently trying to achieve now, work towards whatever your why is, and then, ask them questions. Are they happy with the results they've gotten? Are they open to trying new things? And at that point, I think they'll be ready for the, okay, what is it that you do? What is the process, the strategy that you implement in your life and execute on a consistent basis to get whatever desired outcome that is that person wants? And this is tricky. It's something that, there's times where I'm really good at it and there's times where I'm really not. But I would say over doing it for, gosh, the last 8 years probably of my life, I've gotten better at it. And what it's called, if you want to actually look this up, I refer to it. One is The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. Really good stuff. There's podcasts, there's posts on it. But the other, this questioning, line of questioning to help someone come to their own conclusions, it's called the Socratic method. Okay, and like I said, I've been doing it for a little over 8 years. What it is, rather than try to explain to you in my own words, literally off Wikipedia, I got this, but it's true. I'll read it to you. The Socratic method, which is a form of inquiry and discussion between individuals based on asking and answering questions to stimulate critical thinking and to illuminate ideals. Simply put, help those that you care about come to their own conclusions. This is now me writing, not Wikipedia. Simply put, help those you care about come to their own conclusions and find the answers / solutions you know they need, versus telling them what you think they need to hear. And that is really big. It's the same thing. A lot of people say, they hate to be sold to, but they love to buy. When someone thinks, wow, I got informed, I came to this conclusion, why I should buy this thing, then they're like, yeah, like, boom, here's my, MasterCard or Visa or cash or check or whatever that people pay with nowadays. They love it, but they hate to be sold and kind of backed into a corner to do something. All right, so hopefully that helps in helping get those that you care and love for to make positive change in your life, because I'm sure you all have, and this is okay, your own selfish reasons. I want my friends and family to be, and you too, to be optimal, your optimized self, because one, I want to see people live better, healthier, happier, more fulfilled lives. I want them to be around as long as I want, and yeah, you can say that's selfish, but that's what I want for most people, as well as when people are optimal, when they're thinking clearly, when their bodies are functioning at their highest level, the quality of discussions that you have with people, and the things you can do with those people, it's just a lot more fun, and it's just a better quality of life. And that's okay to have your own selfish reasons for you wanting other people to be better. And the other thing though is the back of it that, if you have faith in people, and I do, I have faith and belief in everybody that they could, be 1% better, today or tomorrow than they were the previous day. That's something I try to practice. Anyways, moving on to the next question. Hopefully that was a long answer, but I think it deserved the time spent on it. Actually, we're only half an hour in, so this is pretty good. All right. Elizabeth Strickland asks, and I'm paraphrasing here because of the long email, but I have multiple symptoms. Which do I start with? And her symptoms, just so you know, that she was referring to were chronic pain symptoms. And this is a question I often get asked too, is because for those of you who don't know me, I ran a website just up until last year. It's still up. You can go take a look at it. I'm not going to take it down. Actually, a lot of the content from inside the Optimize Myself Dojo is from thepostureguy.com. I'm just simply not adding to it any longer. Okay, so you can go check it out. It's called thepostureguy.com. And on that website, and the people that I work with, I would help them get out of their chronic pain symptoms by practicing what's known as postural alignment therapy, which is using corrective posture exercises to pull bones and joints back into proper alignment so that your weight and how you carry yourself is evenly distributed front to back, left to right, so that the body functions, biomechanically speaking, as optimal as possible. Okay, so, and that's what she was kind of referring to. So which to start with? Well, there's really two ways to go about this. Number one is, look at or feel what hurts the most. So if you have back pain, knee pain, and shoulder pain, which hurts the most, go after that. And on thepostureguy.com, if you go in the search and you put whichever hurts first, it'll direct you towards the exercise routine you should be doing for that particular symptom. Okay, and do that until that pain, let's say the back pain was the most, the knee pain was the second, and the shoulder pain the third, until the back pain uh, either is relieved or is completely eliminated. Now, as you do that, because you're repositioning certain parts of your body, you may also notice that the knee and the shoulder pain uh, maybe don't completely go away, but they're relieved as well. Then move on to the routine for whatever your second most. In this case, this example, knee pain. Okay, then go to that one until that one is eliminated, and then go to shoulder pain. Okay. The other way too, and that's if you're based off of symptoms, because I have symptom routines on there as well as posture routines for particular postural misalignments, like an elevated hip or externally rotated femurs and that kind of thing. So if you stand in front of the mirror or have someone take pictures of you front, back, left, and right, and there's something that is blatantly obvious, right? Like maybe your feet are pretty straight, but maybe one's out a little bit. Okay, kind of what they say, kind of picking hairs here and being really specific. But if there's something like this, where someone's shoulder is a good inch or two higher than the other, correct that first. And I guarantee you that whatever your symptom is, as well as that little foot, both of those things will get better. So you can either go after what hurts the most, which for most people is easiest. They go, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, out of these 3 symptoms, which hurts the most? Go after that first. Go over the second most painful one second, and the third, or the least painful one third. You can do that. Or the second strategy is, okay, my posture's out of alignment. What is the most blatantly obvious? What is the big red flag that's drawing my attention to it, and correct that first. Okay. So Elizabeth, hopefully that helps answer your question. Also, as I answer these questions, if you guys have any follow-up, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'd be more than happy to answer them. If they could be answered relatively shortly, just in the comment section. If they need and or deserve a more thorough answer, then I will definitely answer them in an upcoming episode, most likely episode 2, right? That comes after 1. All right. Samuel Hopper asks, how do you determine if you have lumbar lordosis, anterior pelvic tilt, swayback, or any combination of the 3? And this is a really good question. This is one, the writing I've done on lordosis versus swayback, as well as a little bit on anterior pelvic tilt, has been some of the most popular videos and posts and writings that I've done on. Apparently a lot of people in the world suffer from one of these 3 things or a combination of them, and they're very confused as to which they have, and then what strategy to implement to correct it. Okay, and so I will probably get up and show you some things, but there's also a question. So Samuel, I didn't forget here. I'm going to get back to you. A question that I just got in earlier from, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Nivas Sivaprakasam. I'm terrible with last names, so sorry. Nivas Sivaprakasam, who wrote in a question on Facebook pretty much about the same thing. So, and Samuel, since I don't have any pictures to go off of, I'm going to address the pictures Nivas sent in, answer it through that, and hopefully it helps you as well. So I think this answer will help both Samuel and Nivas, okay? As well as I may get up and show you guys some things. So let me share the screen with you. Give me a second. All right, hopefully you guys could see that. And let's go to, I think it was here. Yes. Okay. So Nivas, now these aren't pictures of Nivas told me. These are the ones that he found online, but they're perfect for explaining what it is we're going over. Okay, so it says, let me grab some water before I get into this. Also, FYI, a lot of these questions are written in because a lot of people know me back from the posture guy. So a lot of these are pain relief and posture related questions. Feel free, if you guys are watching, whether live or on a replay, to ask me other questions. Anything in terms of health, fitness, and wellness. If it's something I know, I will definitely give you my recommendations. If it's something that I don't, I will tell you I don't. And if it's something that I know someone else who can help you with, I'll definitely refer to them, as well as anything I don't know. I like researching and learning and finding out to help you. Okay, so but I also love posture. I'm a big anatomy geek and love biomechanics, kinesiology, all that good stuff. So hi Justin, thanks a lot for your time and patience. I definitely have a sway back, and 80% sure I have lordosis as well. This all started when I started experiencing popping sounds in the right knee and an acute pain around those muscles, and the doctor washed it off, or wash it out, something like that. Basically, probably brush it off as stating that I am hypermobile. This image, this one down here is referring to, kind of almost perfectly illustrates my posture. As you see in that image, the amount of pressure pressure knee is facing. My question is, what are your thoughts? What do you think I have both lordosis and swayback? Have you heard of the knee pain as a symptom in any of your followers? And does the knee pain signify something? What are the directions you would like to get me further? Note, I such a lot. Thank you a lot. You're making such amazing awareness and a positive difference in my lives. God bless. Well, thank you for that. Those kind words. We're going to come back to this picture because Nivas actually continues to write some follow-up that I think it's important to know before we try to answer this. Okay, so he continues, right? P.S. The image posted is not mine, just a random internet image. Here's another example image which closely illustrates my condition. Hint, in this posture, when I almost loosen up and relax my complete body, except the upper body, my body quickly and gradually bends into this bow form, with the hips just unable to hold itself straight. So this is what I refer to as kind of the the Olympic, the high and long distance skiers, kind of as the pose they get into, when they're trying to achieve that very high and long distance jump off of that giant ramp, which, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I'd be scared to even attempt that. And one more follow-up, because these pictures I think are really good. And I'm going to try to make them bigger so you guys can see them at home when I talk about them in just a minute. Sorry for too many posts. This is just to prove how confused I am. Totally on board with you. I used to be there at 1.2. And I'm sure many people watching or will watch are as well. Here's what I call as a variation 2, which is more closer to my condition. I literally rotated this internet image to 8 degrees to show you how I look in the mirror, and if I plan to completely relax my body in this posture, including the upper body, shoulders, etc., I literally am falling forward like a piece of log, which I mean, I have been standing in a relaxed pose for quite some time. Didn't realize this all these years. I guess to counterbalance that, my knee has been taking too much load down the years. And so you can see Nivas actually started to come to the pictures of a guy. So Nivas, I'm assuming you're a guy, but his or her, their own conclusion. And yeah, you're on track, is with the hips and the knees forward of the plumb line. And let me see if I can make this bigger. Give me 1 second. Yes. Okay, sorry if this gets a little pixelated, but I want to make sure you guys can see this, okay? So these postures are similar. Here's, picture 1, picture 2, picture 3, but there's a couple differences here. So all of them have what's known as anterior pelvic shift, which is different than anterior pelvic tilt. Anterior pelvic shift just means that their hips, the greater trochanter out here, is relatively anterior to the rest of their body, right? So their hips, we can all see this, their hips are forward of their ankles, which would be kind of the center of their gravity, right? So their hips are forward. Same thing, this girl here. Same thing, this guy here. So with that, you're almost always guaranteed to have sway back, not necessarily lordosis, because if you look at this picture, right, her knees are hyperextended. And if you look, I know it's kind of hard to see because her arm's in the way, but if you look at her waistband, the front of it, what's known as the ASIS, or anterior superior iliac spine, you can see why we use an acronym for that, is lower than her PSIS, or what's known as the posterior superior iliac spine. And when that is, that's what we call an anterior pelvic tilt. So she is has an anterior pelvic shift, and she's anteriorly pelvic tilted. Okay, so those are two separate things. The shift is just like if someone took kind of your tailbone, your hips and butt, and push them forward. The other is if they put their hands, or you put your hands on either side of your hips and tilted your pelvis forward as if you were trying to put an arch in your lower back. And if your pelvis was a punch bowl, like you're trying to pour the punch out the front of the punch bowl, right? Like pouring out this way. So this is anterior pelvic shift, anterior pelvic tilt, and you can see this lordotic curve. So that's lumbar lordosis, okay? And then if you go up, you can see the shoulders are behind the hips, so they're sway back. So in this example, going from the ground up, and I know there's a lot here, but we've got, well, one, knee hyperextension at the knee. We have anterior pelvic shift, that's the push forward. We have anterior pelvic tilt, that's if this angle here at the waistband. We have lordosis, right, which is the extreme curvature, inward curvature of the lower back. And then we have sway back because the shoulders present themselves posterior or behind the hips, okay? Now let's look at the second one. If you guys have any questions on that, let me know. Now, in this woman, kind of same thing, not as much hyperextension of the knee, but you can see knee is in front of ankle and hip is in front of knee and ankle, right? So the hips are anteriorly shifted, they're pushed forward again, but look at her waistline. I know it's kind of hard to tell because it's pixelated and her the waistband could be hiding some, but I would say right about where my pointer is, hopefully you guys can see that, is where her, right there is her ASIS, and then back here is her PSIS. So she's actually posteriorly tilted pelvically, whereas this woman is anteriorly tilted. She's posteriorly tilted. And now look at her lower back right here versus this woman. Here, definitely lordotic. Here, I would call that lower back just a flat back, a flat lumbar spine. Now, it starts to go kyphotic right about the lumbar thoracic area, which is just a $10 fancy word term for where your lower back meets your mid back, where your lumbar spine meets your thoracic spine, right? But it's pretty flat here. So understand a lot of times lordosis is dictated by the pelvic tilt, not always by the pelvic shift, because both of these women are anteriorly shifted forward, but this woman is anteriorly has an anterior pelvic tilt. Ugh, gets confusing, I know. Has an anterior pelvic tilt and has lordosis. This woman has more of a posterior pelvic tilt and it has a flat back. Okay. They also, though, are both sway back. Okay. So hopefully that's starting to make sense. The tilt of the pelvis dictates more, not always, but more likely the how much lordosis you have, or if you have lordosis at all. And usually anterior pelvic tilt usually would mean lordosis. Again, without pictures of either Samuel or Nivas, it's hard to say for sure, but using these photos that Nivas was nice enough to supply, we can hopefully you can get an ideal for this. And then finally, there was one here. This gentleman, his hips are anteriorly shifted forward, right? His hips are pushed forward. He has knee flexion, and then now I don't know if this red line here is basically what Nivas put in this, but let's go with this red line, okay? So this red line would indicate that the ASIS, right, the front of the pelvis, is higher than the PSIS, okay? And when that's like that, that is a posterior pelvic tilt. And again, look at the lower back. It's pretty flat, and then it starts to be kyphotic in the mid and upper back, and really, I mean, a tiny bit of sway back, but not much. Okay, so again, usually posterior pelvic tilts go with a flat back or a normal curvature, but I would say usually flat back, whereas an anterior pelvic tilt usually goes along with lordosis. Okay, and this gentleman, yeah, if his hip is here, he has a tiny bit of sway back, but nowhere near as much as either of these two women, okay? So what do we do? Okay, now hopefully you kind of understand all those terms and what they mean. Well, what's the common denominator amongst these three people? Well, it's the anterior pelvic shift, right? Their hips are forward of their knees and ankles. At least this one, his hips are over his knees, but his knees are significantly in front of his ankles. So in all of these, their hips are in front of their ankles. So for all of these, the strategy that I would recommend is let's get the hips back over the ankles. Let's get this imaginary dot, pull it back so it's directly above this imaginary dot. So there's a plumb line that runs between the ankle, the knee, the hip, the shoulder, and the ear. Okay? Same thing here. And if you get the hips to pull back so that they sit directly above the knee and ankle and directly below the shoulder and ear, right? Here's also this example. Again, get the hips so that they line up so that they're above the knee and the ankle joints and directly below the shoulder. And I know we can't see their head, but their head. Then a lot of is it lordosis? Is it swayback? Is it anterior pelvic tilt, posterior tilt, flat back, all that stuff? Guess what? It doesn't matter because that's the one thing that all this has in common. So get the hips back and that'll help. So there's a couple things that I'd recommend. Obviously, you can see this is kind of a complicated, which came first, the chicken or the egg and all that stuff. So on the posture guy, I don't know if I didn't bring anything up. On the posture guy, yeah, I've done multiple posts on swayback and lordosis. I would check those, but definitely if you haven't signed up to the mailing list, do so, and you can get access to the hip pain routine. That's a good one, and I'm trying to think. There's a couple others. Now, here's the thing: is remember we talked about before the Optimize Self system. It's not just about exercising. So I have to, as much as I love posture and biomechanics, all that stuff, I have to take off the kind of go from my comfort zone of loving to talk just about posture. And because if I did so and I stopped there, I would be doing Samuel and Nivas and everyone else watching and listening a huge disservice. Is yes, postural corrective exercises can help get the hips back over the knees and ankles and under the shoulders and head. But if you don't address your breathing, your hydration, your sleep, your nutrition, your stress, and your movement, then the exercises really have a uphill battle, and it's very unlikely that they're going to win out. Because again, you have to remember, your body is a stimulus response organism, and it's responding to stimulus without prejudice 24/7. So it's what you do the majority of the time that matters, not your best intention. So if you did 5, 10, even half an hour worth of posture exercise to get your hips pulled back, like we just talked about, will that help? Yes, but you can't out exercise poor quality lifestyle, by which I mean literally just the way you're breathing, right? Look at the upper backs of all these people, very rounded, right? This probably guy has the least amount of upper back roundness, but especially these two women here, I guarantee you, just by the position their hips are in and the disconnect between the kinetic chain, the musculature between the torso and the hips, these girls are not breathing correctly. They're not meaning diaphragmatically east to west. And so how they breathe, and if they're not breathing down here, I guarantee you they're breathing more thoracic and clavicularly, which is fine if you're running sprints, but day to day, no, not good. And so how you breathe, right, and is going to also determine your posture. And if those tissues, if you've been in this position for a long period of time, I think at one point, I forget, I thought Neva said something about how long he had been in that, but a long time, for how many years or whatever, then I guarantee you that you have some gunked up, matted down connective tissue. And if you're not properly hydrated, then it doesn't really matter how much stretching or strengthening you're going to do. you need to hydrate that connective tissue so that it's not like beef jerky and it doesn't, move. You want it to be like nice, supple filet mignon that you could manipulate and change the length and tension to. All right. And then looking at something like nutrition, if you're eating foods that you have inflammatory responses to, then you may be removing inflammation by improving your postural alignment, but then you may be eating foods that you're pouring biochemically induced inflammation on it. So you're kind of like saying, hey, I got this new boat, let's poke some holes in it and then go take it out on the lake. It just doesn't make sense. Same thing with stress. If you go to exercise in this position, and not postural alignment exercise, but I'm talking maybe bench press, shoulder press, squats, and things like that, all you're going to do, you may go think of it as a eustress. Oh, I'm going to go improve my body. But if you take this body to the gym or put any demand on it, all you're going to be doing is strengthening postural dysfunctions and compensations. You're going to be making the problem worse. And then also think about, well, if you do half an hour, where'd that picture go? If you do, say, half an hour postural corrective exercise, well, that's great. But it's what you do the majority of times that matters, not your best intentions, meaning that what are you doing for the other 23 and a half hours? How are you sleeping? What position are you sleeping in? On your stomach, on your back, on your sides? How are you standing through the day? You might do half an hour of exercise, but if you're staying like this for 4 or 5 hours a day, well, guess what? That 4 or 5 hours is always going to win out over the 30 minutes of postural corrective exercises. Okay. And how is your environment, as well as your mindset, but especially your environment, cause this? Look at this woman. Her hips are way in front of her. Well, she's wearing shoes, which shoes are part of your environment, that has a positive heel, meaning her heel is above her toes. So just by that, that's causing a lot of the anterior pelvic shift, as well as the anterior pelvic tilt. And let's look at this woman. Also, she has a shoe with an elevated heel, meaning that her heel, because of the form, the mold of the shoe, and the cushion being more on the heel, her heel is artificially raised above her toe box or toes. This guy is too. So basically all these people, including the guy, is wearing heels, not the stilettos that you may be, used to when people say heels and the picture that pops up in your head, but they're all wearing heels. So you can do posture exercises, but what's really simple? Just get rid of the shoes. When you're inside, be barefoot. And when you're out, try to get a neutral heeled shoe where the heel and the toe box is on even ground. Or for these people, I would recommend a negative heel shoe where the heel is slightly lower than the toe box. That right there will help pull their hips back into proper alignment, directly above the knees and ankles and directly below the shoulders and head. Okay. So again, it's important to remember not to just go after this with an exercise. So Samuel, Nivas, hopefully the strategy's there. Hopefully you're clear on which are you: lordosis, swayback, anterior pelvic shift, anterior pelvic tilt, lordosis, all those things. Hopefully that's clear now, and hopefully that points in the right strategy. But again, too, remember, these people in these pictures here, this is not an event. Something didn't happen to them and they got this. These positions they got into over a process, over amount of time, doing things a certain way, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of times, sleeping certain ways, eating certain ways, breathing a certain way. These foundations help, these lifestyle habits, really, if they're habits that formed what you're looking at and the symptoms that they, as well as you, are experiencing. So again, if the strategy I set forward didn't help you, it's because honestly, there's more to the problem. And this is one case I'd recommend, especially right now. I think you can get in for like $9, that I would recommend signing up here for the dojo. And if you go here, it basically takes you to these memberships. Yes, you can get started for $9. Again, this is eventually going to go up to $365. You can get one for $9. Both you get one, $9, $10. Okay. I would definitely recommend, because there's a lot more to this problem than just the corrective exercises. But I just want to let you know that, let's go back here. I hope you understand too that I'm not saying that just to pitch you inside. It's because I truly believe that what's inside is going to help you make those lifestyle changes, right? Total health being cumulative, those lifestyle changes needed to address this. I think the posture exercise is a great start. And it's kind of though a band-aid. It's a very natural band-aid, no side effects and everything. But I think if you want to get your best bang for your buck in terms of time and energy invested in you trying to improve or resolve this problem, then yeah, I would definitely use what's inside the Optimize Self Dojo. It's awesome. And if anybody listening, for whatever reason, from the first 30 days, you're not happy with what's found inside, the accountability and support group, the ongoing live train shows, which are private shows just for members there, as well as all the guides and resources and stuff. Basically, what I've accumulated over 13 years, tens of thousands of dollars and tens of thousand hours learning, sharing with you what I share with my one-on-one clients and things like that. If you're not happy with it for $9 or $10 or whatever the price whoever's listening to this happens to pay, then more than happy to refund you that. All right, but give it a shot, and let's move on to the next question. Oh, Rob Ortona asks, what causes patellofemoral pain syndrome? As much as I'm into anatomy, there's sometimes I have to slow down for these name things. It's actually referred to, you can see why we in anatomy come up with these acronyms, PFPS, or runner's knee. A lot of times it just gets called runner's knee. And how would one go about correcting it? So this is, and I have a picture here so you guys can see, and let me grab some water because my throat's dry. Okay, I know we're at the 1 hour mark, but I'm going to keep going. And you guys can always come back and watch replays of this. But I don't know about you, I'm having fun answering these questions. So PFPS, it's basically when your kneecaps, AKA your patellas, oh look, I accidentally did that. Basically when they rub up against the front of your femur, your upper thigh bone. Okay, and basically, I mean, this usually causes various types of knee pains. A lot of times it's referred to as runner's knee. Now, what causes this and how do you go about correcting it? Again, this is more of a postural issue, but a lot of the same things that I just mentioned for the previous question about lifestyle things, really apply to this as well. But, now that you know all that, Rob, if you want to join the dojo too, would love to have you. But let's talk about just the positioning. So your knee sits on your femur, much like a sliding glass door sits in the groove of, well, a sliding glass door frame, I guess. And let me see if let me back out of this so you can see me. Come on, camera. Okay, cool. So if here is your upper thigh bone and here is your shin bone, right? There we go. Basically, your knee is meant to operate. It's a hinged joint. It opens and closes pretty much like your door, okay? And say this knuckle, this groove right here, well, that's where your kneecap, your patella, basically sits. And it slides up and down, much like a sliding glass door and a sliding glass door frame. Well, we've all had this before where the sliding glass door, or maybe that, what do you call it, like the mesh screen, that door comes off, right? And you kind of have to push it or slide it back on. Well, that's basically what's going on with the PFPS. I forget the acronym. Anyways, the pain, the symptom that we're talking about. And that's what happened. It's the sliding of the patella and it comes off. So it basically temporarily dislocates. Some people who said they had a patellar dislocation, it's where it completely comes off and stays off, and that's where they have to go in, and sometimes it can be manually manipulated back on, which from what I've heard is extremely painful. Other times they have to go in and surgically do it back on. But a lot of times, I've even had this myself, where it slips off and then comes on, and it can create, knee pain on the bottom, on the top, on either side, and basically what's causing it is an imbalance between the musculature of the upper leg and the lower leg, mostly rotators. So again, your knee is supposed to be a hinge joint, but what happens if the upper thigh bone, due to some external rotators up in the hip joint, turn it out? Well, now it's turned into a knee / ball and socket joint, and the thing is, the knee is not a ball and socket joint. It's not like your hip or shoulder. So now it's going like this, and imagine every time it opens and closes, it's twisting, right, to keep you walking, say, from point A to point B in a straight line. And that's why that knee cap, the patella, is slipping on and off. Also, it could be because your femur is internally rotated. I don't know which one I did first, but anyways, externally rotated or internally rotated, whichever the case may be. There's slippage of the patella because the groove isn't lined up, and that's why the patella is slipping. Now, usually the external rotation of the femur bone is because things up in your hips are too tight and bound up, and they need to be toned down and loosened, so that way the muscles that are torquing that upper leg out could be released and come back to center, and now the knee, the patella, that groove, everything lines up. Okay, a lot of times if it's internally rotated, I keep forgetting which way I go, but you guys get it. If it's internally rotated, usually that's a sign of weakness. So maybe your external rotators, the ones in the other person who's externally rotated, who they're really, really tight and bound up, well, for that internally rotated person, they need to be toned up, meaning they need to be strengthened so as to bring the upper and lower leg back into alignment. Basically, you need to reconnect the kinetic chain, kind of connect the dots of the musculature between the hip, the knee, and the ankle slash foot down here. And when that happens, then you basically, the patella, the kneecap, will line up on the groove, and you won't have that problem anymore. Problem solved. Okay. So what would you use to do that? I would say the foot pain routine found inside the dojo. I think I also did a post on this on running, actually, on the Posture Guy. And Rob, if I find the link, I will make sure to put it in the show notes below on the YouTube channel, as well as link it to you. And even though it's for foot pain, people will go, why? It's not my foot, it's my knee. It's because what we're looking to do, and what this exercise routine does really well, these, I believe it's 4 exercises, is help reconnect that connect chain between the hip, knee, and ankle slash foot down there, right? It helps basically twist the upper and lower leg back so that they're lined up, okay? So hopefully, Rob, that helps answer your questions. Again, and I don't want to, well, I do, honestly, and I don't want to be pushy on the dojo because it is an amazing value and great resources inside. And like I said, even if you paid full price, heck, even at $3,650 is great, but the most you'll ever pay this year is $365, is still amazing. You're still getting 10 times the value. So it's like basically getting, 90% discount. So Rob, if you want to join, we'd love to have you. There's all kinds of things inside there, exercise routines, lifestyle stuff that you can do that you would definitely benefit from. If not, look at, go to thepostureguy.com, search for running or runners, and also foot pain, and you will find the exercise routine that I'm referring to. Okay? All right, moving on. Let's see. Ooh, my fan on my laptop is going. All right. Mary Newsome, who actually just signed up over on thepostureguy.com. So, hi, Mary. If you're watching this, which I'll send you a link to, welcome to the Posture Guy family. You're totally welcome. But now this is actually kind of the Optimize Self Ninja and Ninjette family. So for those of you watching from the Posture Guy, again, OptimizeSelf.ninja is just the successor to the postureguy.com. All right. Anyways, Mary asked, hi, I'm from the USA. I have arthritis in my back for about 10 years now. I also have had problems in both shoulders and have noticed that my right collarbone has moved up along with the same shoulder being uneven. I've been in a lot of pain for a while. I'm in my late 50s. I hope your videos can help. Awesome. Thank you, Mary, for writing in. And so to answer your question, I will, let's see, was it this one? Yes. This post I did about correcting shoulder elevation, Mary, would be absolutely great for you. And the reason you're having neck pain, you can see from the screenshot, I know it's a little funny, but it says, seriously, this is what my shoulder used to look like. And no lie, it was. My left shoulder was jacked up towards my ear. I was wearing my shoulder as an earring. But yes, if there's a uneven distance from one ear to the shoulder, and you can see one shoulder is higher or lower than the other, well, then the length and tension on the shoulder is going to be different. and the connective tissue, right, the myofascia that runs all throughout your body is going to be different. So it's going to pull differently on that shoulder as well as the opposite shoulder, as well as other areas in the body. So I would recommend you check this out, this post here. And down here, there's 3 exercises that will take you to videos, video tutorials on how to do them. So you just click on each and it'll show you, my wife Anya and I showing you how to do each exercise. And then this video is basically telling you about, what causes it, things like that. And start with that, do those exercises. I mean, they're really only 3 exercises and they'll take you 3, 4, 5, probably about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes the first time you do it, just because you'll be kind of watching videos, following along. But once you get it down, it'll take 5 minutes. I would do that 3 times a day for a week. And then, follow up with me and let me know how things are going, how you're progressing, and if you need any further help. And if so, like I said, there's the dojo. I also do work with people one-on-one, as well as through memberships. So you saw here's the memberships to the dojo. And these are, like I said, these are updated. But there's retainers here, monthly, quarterly, half year, and annual retainers. Most people do monthly or quarterly. And then there's also some individual sessions. So try out the elevated shoulder routine first. Like I said, 3 times a day for a week. And then let's go from there. Maybe that's just enough for you, along with some of the other things you'll learn here on the Optimize Self show. But if not, there's other means of help: the dojo, the retainers, the one-on-one sessions. Okay. I just noticed I was not sharing the screen. Okay, really quick, just for Mary. Whoops. Okay. I just noticed you were watching me, so I will quickly show this. Okay, sorry for anybody, I just repeated this, but Mary, here is the website, the shoulder elevation. That's what I was talking about, if one shoulder's higher than the other. Here are the 3 exercises that I just referred to that you should do, okay? And I'll make sure to include this in the show notes. All right. Let me check this before I stop sharing the screen. Okay, cool. So let's get out of this. Awesome. Okay. Gotta always check to make sure if I'm sharing the right screen. All right. So I think that does it for questions. There was one late one that came in, and I do want to answer it, but I know we're already past time, so I just want to be respectful of everyone's time. And so I think I'm going to save that one because it's a lengthier question and a lengthier response for episode 2, as well as the person who asked. They are in the Optimize Self dojo. And although this first episode of the Optimize Self show is acting as both the premiere episode for the Optimize Self show, as well as the Optimize Self dojo's first live training. For those of you in the dojo watching, I'm going to be doing these live trainings each Saturday morning. The Optimize Self show, I'm going to basically be putting out as questions come in, both as they're asked for me and as I seek them out. And probably in the future, just limiting to 3 questions. And there's also going to be other segments and fun stuff to come, so stay tuned for that. But I want to ask you guys a few questions. Excuse me, I prepared them, so I'm going to read them. So I want to know, what are you most concerned about? What are you most concerned about the current and or future state of health, fitness, and wellness? And then kind of on the other side of that coin is, what are you most excited and optimistic about the current and or future state of health, fitness, and wellness? And finally, the last one is, what question would you like to pose to everyone watching or listening? You can also pose a question to me, but if you were here and you had the camera on you, and I welcome you to join me online sometime, but what question would you ask everyone else? And actually, I just remembered I was about to end there with the Q&A, but if I did, my mom would kill me. Okay, because she actually asked a question. And I'll do this really quick and then we'll wrap this up. Can you make a food list of what to eat, when to eat, and what not to eat together? And this is a good one. That's not posture, related. It's more nutrition related. And I could work on something like that. Here's the tough thing is that it's weird. I'm watching a replay of myself a couple minutes ago of this thing. Here's the trouble with that is that I believe in eating a diet that's optimized for you specifically. So by which I mean there are common foods that I believe we should all avoid because of just, you know, science and statistics have proven that the majority of people are have inflammatory responses to these certain foods. I know my mom, as well as other people watching inside the dojo, definitely give a watch to the Optimizing Your Nutrition module. For those who aren't, if you go look up a diet, go to postureguy.com and search for diet or nutrition, you'll see what I mean. There's certain foods you should avoid, but at the same time, I believe in testing, measuring, and tracking your responses to food, whether it be through an elimination diet. You can also use the Coca pulse test, either manually or there's apps now that you can do that. You don't need a heart rate monitor. You can actually use the camera on the back to take your heart rate and see how you respond to foods throughout the day. You can also get blood test if you so choose, and if your budget allows, to see how your body responds to food. And that's why I hesitate to write a plan. Definitely guidelines I think are good, but an exact plan of what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, because what's optimal for me may not be optimal for you and vice versa. So yeah, it's hard to come out with a specific thing. I prefer to go, well, here's what the science and the research supports, but also here's the way to go about testing these things specifically for you. You know, like a lot of people in the news and the media and all this stuff know about gluten and gluten intolerance and celiac disease and all this stuff. A lot of people think food intolerance is like, does it upset their their tummy, and do they have gas or things like that? And if they don't, oh, I'm fine with that food, but they don't understand that one, it could be a food that you ate days ago, literally 3 days ago, that you had a response to, not to what you ate today or even a half an hour ago. And also, food intolerance doesn't just mean gastric wise, doesn't just mean, an upset stomach or throwing up or burping or farting or things like that. It could manifest itself as pain, as in painful joints, right? Arthritis, or skin irritations, rashes, itching. For me, I know personally, gluten, I don't get any of that. None of the skin stuff, none of the really the upset stomach, unless I eat just loads of gluten, wheat, flour, but more so cognitively. If I have more than about a bite of gluten, then I can feel for the next 3 days about that. Just it's like if I try to pull up a memory or a word or a thought or something, it's like pushing that thought around a bar and like through thick yogurt. That's a weird kind of image, but that's how I respond personally to it. So people respond to certain foods differently, and that's why in the Optimizing Your Nutrition module, I show you how to go about finding out, then how to make your own list of foods. A lot of people say, oh, I eat healthy or I eat clean, and those are all relative terms. I always kind of laugh because when people say I eat clean, I just imagine like they drop their food and then they wash it off in the sink and like, look, I eat clean. Or if I eat healthy, it's like, well, that's relative, maybe, and I know this is kind of silly, but if you ate rocks and glass last week and then this week you said, oh, I'm improving my diet, and I started eating pizza and Twinkies, well, that's better definitely than rocks and glass. But when you say healthy, what do you mean by that? And if you say I'm okay with this food, or this food's good for me, how do you know what you know? And so I try to stay away from mostly saying, eat this food and only this food, and carbs are good or carbs are bad or all these other things. It's going, hey, here's what the science supports, but also understand that we're all biochemically unique, and that you should test and measure. You need some measuring stick to say, this is why I believe this food is good for me or not good for me. And until you do that, understand, I would say this to mom watching or anyone else. If someone tells me, oh, I'm okay with this food, and you don't have anything to back that up, you haven't done an elimination diet, you haven't done maybe Coca pulse test, you haven't done any blood test, then with all due respect, what you're saying is invalid. Not to say I don't respect your opinion, but you have nothing to back it up. If I say, oh, this food I'm okay with, or this food I'm not okay with, it's because I've done elimination diet and I've tracked certain biomarkers and I've done the Coca Post test and I know all these things. And I'm always, not like every day, but a couple times a year, I'm even retesting these things. Okay. And that's also the great thing. There's times like just over the holidays, I ate certain food that most people, like cakes or candies and things like that. And that's fine. I honestly really dislike it when people say, oh, it's my cheat day or my reward day, or I'm having a cheat meal. No, inform yourself. Know what foods are good for you, know what foods are bad for you, and then make an informed decision. But understand it's your decision. You have control over it. It's not, yeah, just basically call it for what it is. I lost my train of thought there. And that's what I suggest to people is be informed so you can make informed decisions, and don't feel bad about it. I don't eat. I try not to eat foods that I know are going to impair my cognitive performance the day of or several days before, usually 3 days before. I know I need something where I need to be on my game, because with what I do online, this is my moneymaker. Also, where I always wear a helmet, even sometimes while walking. Just kidding. But for others, it's like, yeah, if you got a week off from work and you don't really have much going on, and it's during the holidays, and someone offers you a treat and everything, have it. And you can't live inside a bubble. You have to enjoy life, and don't get down on yourself. Just remember, in terms of nutrition, as well as all other areas of life, but especially, we'll keep in terms of nutrition. It's what you eat. It's what you do the majority of the time that matters. So if you have a treat every once in a while, understand treat too. You can have treats that are really good, that are sweet, that taste like candy, that taste like a treat, without them actually having any ingredients in it that are going to do you any harm. But if you do choose to eat something that your body doesn't respond well to, at least you know that going into it. Okay, you're informed. So I know actually that was a much longer question than I meant to, but hey, it's my mom and she deserves the long answer. So you're welcome, Mom. And if any other mothers out there or your moms have any questions, let me know. All right. I got some follow-up questions. Oh man. Okay. Man, I want to keep answering these, but I want to be, I know we're already an hour 20 in, and I say respectful of everyone's time. Let's see if I can wrap these up. David, I know, had a long question, which I really want to get to, but I'll probably do another live training. All right. I just want to keep going. Let's see. Okay. These are follow-up questions. So you know what, David, Nivas, I'm going to try to answer these in follow-up, or in the next episode, or in a live training show. Okay. So I promise I don't want to, I want to get to them, but I want to make sure, like I said, not just to keep going. And truth be told, guys, if you want to come online with me, then definitely do so, because I'll tell you what, when you have, and I do this because I listen to podcasts and everything, it's tough. I don't really know anybody who does an hour plus podcast when it's just themselves. Actually, one or two, but it's extremely hard. I don't know if you can hear my voice change multiple times. So I need more water. But if anybody, you guys have more questions about this, please feel free. Episode 2, let me know, and you can come on, and we can do this. Okay. I'm trying to see if there's any ones I can give short answers to. Give me 1 second. Let's see. David asks, how important are the shoe thing if you address the other stuff? I mean, neutral shoes are pretty hard to find, especially considering you want them to fit and look good and fit the weather, etc. David, I hear you. I look at footwear as very important, because unless you have control of your environment, maybe you work from home, you can just be barefoot all the time, which, David, I believe you do. It's cool, but when you have to go outside, yeah, shoes definitely are really important, just because it's your foundation, it's your base. Everything is kind of like a stack of Jenga blocks. It's all dictated by what's on the bottom, what you're standing on, your feet. A good resource I recommend is birthdayshoes.com. And it's actually ran by a guy, funny enough, his name is Justin. I believe his last name's Owen. He does a lot of reviews of a lot of minimalistic shoes. They don't always have to be the 5-finger toe shoes. He does a lot on there and has some good recommendations, and has a lot of good links to different stores, online stores that you can get them in multiple countries and things like that. That is the most thorough resource for minimalistic footwear that I know. Katie, oh, what is her name? So website, Katie says, I don't know her name. Anyways, I'll have to get it to you later. She writes a lot about foot, mostly for women, but also a little bit more towards men. And yeah, if you I was talking about those pictures with the hips being anteriorly shifted forward. If you have an anterior pelvic shift and or tilt, then shoes especially, yeah, get to a neutral or negative heel shoe, and that'll help you out tremendously. Okay. Let's see. Nivas had a follow-up question. Gosh, it's so hard for me to say no. I just want to keep going through these. Post on Facebook could be different. Okay, so he says, I understand the 3 images I post on Facebook could be different to each other, and that the one common thing was the anterior shift. So is this called anterior or posterior pelvic tilt? Not that I match, but confused in terms. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see me. I'll back up. This is the easiest way to show you. An anterior pelvic tilt would be this, okay? So basically where the ASIS is lower to the ground than the PSIS. And a posterior pelvic tilt is now where the ASIS is above, relative to the ground, higher than the PSIS. So anterior pelvic tilt, posterior pelvic tilt. And notice what happens to my lower back as I go into anterior pelvic tilt, more lordosis. As I go into posterior pelvic tilt, more flat back, or even a little kyphotic, okay? So hopefully that clears things up. Okay. Let's see. And Neva says, I'm badly in need of Band-Aid now so I can start lifestyle changes in a better state of mind without pain. Totally hear you. So what I would recommend, really the simplest way is, and this you can do while also working on your breathing. Let me see if I can do this on the ground. Sorry, I'm in a small space here. All right. So if you take a chair or ottoman, right? And you put, so this is 18 inches tall. I'm not sure how tall you are. If you're like 5'8" like I am, then 18 inches should be good. If you're taller, maybe 19, 20 inches. Basically what you're looking for is you lay down. I don't know if this is, you're gonna be able to see me, but I'll try to talk over it. You lay down with your legs up at a 90-degree angle, okay? So knees at 90, and then you just lay down on the ground. Hopefully, let's see if I can go this way. There we go. So you lay down on the ground with your legs up, and you just put your arms out to your sides like so, and you just relax here on your back, and think about what you're doing. If you think of your body as a giant geometry problem, and you have a anterior pelvic shift, your hips are out and forward you, like those 3 pictures on Facebook. Well, think about what you're doing now. You're bringing your hips back underneath of you so that they're directly in line with your shoulders. You're using the floor as a giant ruler, and you're also causing extension in your back, which if you also have swayback and you're kyphotic in your upper back and shoulders, you're going to let that relax. And if you have lordosis, you'll feel an arch in your lower back, a space between your lumbar spine and the floor. That's fine. Don't try to push it flat or anything. Just let it go. And just relax here. I'm going to hold my head up so I can talk to the camera, but just have your head relaxed and just breathe in and out through your nose with a 1-to-2 ratio of inhale to exhale. Meaning, say for example, 3 seconds in through your nose, and then 6 seconds out. And think about focusing that breathing in the diaphragm. So think about breathing east to west. So instead of your belly button going up and down towards the ceiling and towards the floor, think about your sides, right? If you kind of put your hands here on your sides, think about breathing east to west, laterally.
as well as you'll feel when you inhale, your lower back kind of flatten to the floor, and do that for about 5 to 10 minutes. And if you have lordosis, you'll notice in that 5 to 10 minutes that arch in your lower back that was there, it'll start to come out on its own, okay? And and everything should start to feel better. Do that for about 5 to 10 minutes. Do that, I would say, 2 to 3 times a day, and that's what I would suggest starting with. And that will, one, work on your posture, as well as work on optimizing your breathing, basically myelinating, connecting your central nervous system to the correct muscles, reconnecting the connect chain between your shoulders, torso, and your hips, getting them back to breathing properly. So you're optimizing your breathing while improving your posture. The other thing is try to drink half your body weight in ounces of water. That'll make sure to hydrate the connective tissue and muscles so that they're pliable, so that exercise, that position I just showed you called static back, could do what it's designed to do. And then also try to sleep either with 0 or 1 pillow under your head on your back, and then 1 to 2 pillows folded up under your knees or lower leg, because by elevating that, it's going to be kind of like a mini version of that static back position I just showed you. So remember, those will be those three foundations of health you'll be working on to rediscover your health. Remember, stage 1, rediscover. So just in that, you're working on improving your breathing, your hydration, and your sleep. Cool. So hopefully that'll help get you started, and then keep me posted and let me know if you need any other help. Oh, and what is the page you read me for getting the anterior shift in terms of posture correction? Yeah, I'll have to look more at the lordosis, all those other videos, Nivas, but that's what I just showed you. That's what I would start with, and I think would have the, if you kind of said like a Band-Aid, like fast results, is do that 5-10 minutes a day, 2 to 3 times per day, the static back position. Hydrate half your body weight in ounces of water, pure water, don't mean liquids, but water, and then try to sleep 0 to 1 pillow under the head, 1 to 2 pillows under the lower legs / knee, and that's about it. You can also do that position, that static back position, immediately before bed, and it should also help you sleep more comfortably and get better quality of sleep. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's going to do it for now. And let's see. I asked you guys all the other questions, those 3 that I asked before. The responses to them, any questions I ask you, would be greatly appreciated, because they provide topics of discussion for the show. And any questions that you guys have, I'm going to work on putting together one place that everybody can submit questions, so it's not all over the place like today, which I'm more than happy to get. But I can see in the future it being proved difficult, because I got some from some on email, some on a Google Doc, some on Skype, some on the Facebook page, some in the Facebook group, and all these areas. So I'm going to try to find one place where we can put their questions and can vote up or down a question, and I think just get it more organized. So I will work on that for everybody. But again, all the content created on Optimize Self is always with context in mind first. So I don't want to create any content just because I think it's important. I want it to create content because it's important to you, whoever's watching, someone you love and care for. Maybe they ask a question through you. I want to create content that's pertinent to you, specifically you. Okay, so questions. Love interacting with you guys. Things to look forward to in the upcoming episodes of the Optimize Self show. I'll run through these really quickly. Fun facts of the days. Here's one today. The average human takes somewhere between 22 to 30,000 breaths per day, and breathing is the only physiological function we have that is both autonomic and voluntary, meaning that is the simplest way to affect one's current state of being. So just like I mentioned, the static back and the breathing, it's a way that you can quickly change the severity of a symptom, your stress levels, all kinds of other things. So yeah, breathing, it's huge. That's just one for today, but we'll regularly have fun facts of the day, questions of the day, various catalysts to provoke positive change in your life. Okay, for those of you who are inside the Optimize Self Dojo, you might have noticed I added recently the Optimize Self Journal, and in that each day there is a link you can use that will take you to where each day of the week I'm going to have a basically a catalyst, either question of the day, call to action, fact of the day, some news, thought, something like that, to help you improve yourself each and every day. Okay. Let's see, health startup segment. So these could be, you know, new and exciting products, services, startups that can help you optimize yourself, and we can vote on which we like most. So if you find any new things, maybe it's a device, a workout tool, some technology that helps you test, measure, and track your biomarkers, things like that, and you think it's helpful, you know, please, you know, share it with me, share it with the group, and you know, let's look into it and find out, you know, things, because I know a lot of people would like to purchase a tool rather than learn something new than a solution. That's absolutely fine. Humans by nature, we take the path of least resistance. Some people call it laziness. I call it selective efficiency. But yeah, I would love to talk more on that. I will do some how-to tutorials for those things that people ask me. Definitely more Q&A, because I just love Q&A, as you can tell. Also interviews with both fellow ninjas and ninjettes, that's you, as well as experts in their relative area, whether it be posture, nutrition, you know, ketogenic diets, sleep, you know, mindset, all that stuff. I want to get people in here. But again, not just experts, because a lot of people do experts, but I also look at each and every person I come across, yes, you watching, as an expert. And I believe that myself and those watching can learn from you. I did one of these on the posture guy. It was actually the last post that I posted with a client of mine. And it was great because, you know, I got to help him and share things with him live, and people got to listen in. And I learned from him, he learned from me, and the whole group together, we all learned as a community. And I'm really psyched to do more of that. So if you want to come on the show with me, you know, get in contact me, whether it's over on the Optimize Self Facebook page. If you're in the dojo, you know, you can just message me. If you have my email, you can get hold of me through there, YouTube, and let me know if you want to be on the show, and I'd be more than happy to have you. Okay. And let's see. Also, I just want to review something that I kind of refer to as the optimized education formula. These are things that I always try to keep in mind when helping you guys, as well as we help each other, is I want to always challenge preconceived notions, assumptions, misinformation, marketing, social memes, and personal beliefs, whether it's the Socratic method or some other way, because unfortunately, you know, as I'm sure you're well aware, most of the information out there in the world when it comes to health, fitness, and wellness are things like misinformation, marketing, social memes. You know, next time someone says something related to health, you know, because it's fine, it's one of those topics that everybody seems to be an expert on. Ask them why 5 consecutive times. A lot of people won't get through 2 whys, let alone 5, and you can really figure out, you know, is it really someone speaking from some place that they really know what they're talking about, or are they speaking from just, oh, I read the headline of this thing in a tweet, or you know, maybe they just grew up and they were indoctrinated into a certain way of belief, and they never really tried to challenge those assumptions or those preconceived notions or things that they were fed to them by their parents, their grandparents, marketing, things like that. So yeah, I definitely want to do that here. Bring awareness to people's blind spots and make the invisible visible. So that way people can see things for what they truly are, but not worse than they are. Because I think the more informed you can be, the better decisions you can make, and the less scary something is. You know, arthritis, a lot of people are scared of it. But when I sit people down and really break it down to them that all arthritis is really, it's an adjective. Arth, the prefix arth is joint. The suffix itis means inflammation. You have joint inflammation. How does joint inflammation occur? Rubbing of 2 things that shouldn't be rubbing together. Why are those 2 things rubbing together? You know, muscles put them there. Okay, so you have a muscular imbalance that's causing things to rub together, which is causing inflammation. But what if you restore balance to the muscles? Now you have those things not rubbing together anymore. Therefore, you don't have inflammation in the joint. Therefore, you don't have any isis of the arth. Therefore, you don't have arthritis. You don't have it anymore. You know. But a lot of people haven't broken it down like that for people. And when they do, they go, "Oh, is that all it? That's it?" Oh, now they're informed, and they look at it not from a place of fear, but a place of, oh, this is something I can control. Yes, I still have to do the work. I have to put in the time and the effort to not have arthritis, but it's cool because now they know they have control over it. All right, that's one example. I also want to offer up an alternative and more agreeable paradigm that really to think of as the new norm or ideal, okay? Solutions, strategies, things like that, and how to get there. And then demo and guide from a current state of, wherever you are now to a desired outcome, pretty much just like I did there, showing you, okay, here's exactly how to do this. Or here's what to use maybe inside the Optimize Self Dojo to get what you want. As well as doing so through the use of accountability support and resources and tools, all of which inside the dojo. And always end each show with a call to action and question of the day. So today's call to action is just to be more aware, both of yourself and your surroundings. A lot of times people will try to, for example, go on a diet. And I think it's too much change too fast. And so what I would recommend to people before they try to change their diet, just become aware of it, and maybe that will kind of open your eyes, of what you're eating, how much you're eating, the timing of the eating, and how that affects how you feel. So maybe for the next week, and this is great if you're focusing on your diet, but this is just an example. You can do this with other areas of your life, other foundations of health, is to take a picture of everything you eat for the next week. And just notice, a lot of people, eating has become habitual. And so as you eat, you will notice, oh, wow, like I didn't notice I was eating these things. And maybe I'm eating the same thing again. And, oh, it's this thing that's not so good. But what's really neat is I'll tell people to do this. And I said, okay, then what should I eat? And I refuse to tell them. But as the week goes on, I always see, oh, look, they're making better choices. They're making healthier choices. Not because I told them what to eat, but because they just became aware of it, okay? So I think step one, before trying to change something in your life, like diet, is first become aware of what you're currently doing. Because a lot of people, myself included, we become habitual, and we lose the self-awareness of what am I putting in my mouth, or how long am I sitting, or how long have I been on the computer. And that's where, again, testing, measuring, and tracking really comes in handy, because if you're not testing, measuring, tracking, then how do you know if you're better today than you were yesterday, or let alone 3 years ago? Well, the answer is you don't, okay? So always good to test, measure, and track. Question of the day, who can you think of that you would like to invite to watch the next episode of the Optimize Self Show? And what questions would you like for me to answer? Okay. So I think that wraps it up for today. I know we went over time, but I just couldn't help not answer some of those questions. I love Q&A. And like I said, I love interacting with you all. So until next time, please, like this video, assuming you liked it, subscribe to the channel. Both liking and subscribing helps people find this resource of information easier for them, so they can benefit from it as well. And don't forget to head on over to optimizeself.ninja. I actually noticed the whole time I was here, I forgot to put this up, so I will put it up here on, it actually went away. Oh, well, next time. Go to optimizeself.ninja, not .com, .ninja. That's the little ninja guy, our little mascot. And go there and check out all about the Optimize Self Dojo. I really think you're going to like it. I really think it is going to add a lot of value in terms of health, fitness, and wellness to your life. And yeah, let me know what you think, okay? And I will leave you with, until next time, take care and be a good human. And I will also put this up, which later on I will put some annotations, some links here to these, so you can learn more about the system, about me, other videos, and so on and so forth. Okay. Anyways, thanks for joining me today on the premiere episode of the Optimize Self Show. Thank you guys so much. You're awesome. Love you. And look forward to seeing you in episode 2, and those of you in the dojo in the next live training. Until then, take care and be a good human.